skill stacking and taking that money, and instead of necessarily reinvesting it back into making a product or, an investment, a tangible investment, what if you made an investment in yourself with a new skill? So what Eleni just said is like, what if there's a producer who I work with that I could be like, yo, hear me out. I love working with you. I want to keep working with you, but what would it cost for you to build a demo template for me and teach me the basics, of building a demo and showing me how to do at least getting the puck this far towards the goal. And
Canadian
then,
reference.
and that was for all the Canadians.
God bless you.
And it's like, okay, if I can get it this far, then would you be able to skate in here and take the puck the rest of the way, and then hit the puck in the goal and win the game?
Hat trick.
Okay.
And then go to Tim Hortons after.
Yeah, boy.
I'm muting myself.
She's like, I've overstayed my welcome. But so this is the idea. It's a brilliant idea. That is why you'll also see, guys, in the artist roadmap, we started a course called How to Create Demos. And we're literally just interviewing producers in our network that create their own demos. You'll see one that Eleni did. She's showing you all her game on how she is coming up with their demos. Go watch it. There's some gems in there. Kagan absolutely offered so much value in his guys. He gave us 25, 30 different vocal filters that you'll just have to go check it out. They're all in Logic. He basically showed us how to do everything with Logic only plugins. We did one with Jay and his whole strategy, and we're having more. And so like more and more artists are showing us, hey, here's how I create demos. And because I know how to create the demos, guess how much money it costs me to make music? Almost nothing compared to what other artists are having to pay for, right? So if you're wanting the best producers to be involved in every step of your song, you're probably spending $3,000 a song. Hopefully less. I would hope less at this phase of your careers. But like we've heard artists spending much, much, much more than that. And the key to here is also knowing what phase of your career you're in, when that is actually called for and responsible, and when that makes zero sense at all. But like Eleni said, it's like, what if you paid for that skill and now you can move faster, you can make more music, and you can make it more affordably, and you're probably sitting on some money and you just have a little bit more peace of mind. And that's just with producing. That's just with demos. What else could you do with that? What's another skill you could stack, Joey? Relevant for an artist.
I mean, going off of that, the next level after that is time management. Because if you look at our situation, if we produced every single song that we released underneath the Anthem Co., we would have 10 songs a year. So the next level after that, again, like a lot of you guys are not trying to start your own, well, you guys are starting your own collective, Annie, so you might run into this issue, but it's like if you wanted to release more songs per year than what your capacity is to produce your own stuff, you're going to have to learn how to let go of your own production abilities and hire other people's time and do that. But that's probably the next level of that. I would say we have a huge, because we were just going down back from the beginning, what are all the skills that we had from the beginning?
Oh gosh. Yeah, so this is stuff that like we were having a conversation, guys, about, man, there are so many things that we do behind the scenes of music that most people have no idea we're doing. And I think the same would probably be for you guys as well. It's like, you're probably like, there are a million things that I'm doing behind the scenes of my music career that the fans are completely unaware of. And we were just trying to get an idea of that for, what we want to teach to you guys. And I don't even know if I feel like going into all.
We were just talking about, I need to sit down and actually write it all out because I'm curious. But from the beginning, it's like you learn music theory. I learned piano when I was under 10, and then I learned guitar starting at 10. And then I went to college, met him, and then I joined a band, and I learned what it was like to be on the road touring and all of that, being a good hang. And at the time, I started dabbling in making content, capturing content. And then from that point, I dabbled into, okay, what does it look like to build a website for the band? And this was all while I was in college. Then we got a manager, learned the hard things about that. And I was like, what is management about? And then we signed with a weird label that was not really good. And we're like, okay, why was this a bad deal with master and publishing? What is this? And so like over just the span of like 10 years up until that point was all of those skills.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then while you were doing that, so I started in concert promotion and, partnering with churches to bring in these Nashville Christmas tours, and then ended up going and working for one of the bands and being the road manager and the tour manager and seeing that perspective of it. And then actually ended up going and working at that exact same booking agent, booking out the artists and doing the tours and seeing the third angle of that triangle of relationships of people putting on shows, people paying to bring in shows, the artists and the managers managing the shows, and like all of that, and seeing, and starting to see what the road life is like, and then what these, being in a band and going out on the band and being the tour and actually having to do all this stuff. And like you just start putting all these pieces together, right? But every time you add another piece, it stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks. And pretty soon it's like, oh, I feel kind of lethal. Like I can hold my own. Like if I needed to, on my own, like I could do this thing. If I needed to go get a 9 to 5, I feel like I've built up a skill set now where I could hold my own and go to somebody and say like, no, like here's all my experience. I think it's pretty obvious that like Joey and I, if we're ever hiring for the company, we very much prefer experience over like a piece of paper that says, I've spent 4 years at the college versus, hey, look at all the skills that I've stacked over the past few years and they all work together. Like even something as simple as learning Adobe Premiere or learning how to edit your videos and edit your content.
Well, know how to work a nice camera, how
there.
to like, I think we were talking, who was I talking to? Yeah, it was on the call yesterday with Eleni. Just like we were talking about our experience because we worked at churches and the ability to know what kind of tech was in the sound route and like what you're looking at here and what this next stage of our content strategy has stemmed directly from that for us. Multiple cameras and miking and streaming and all that stuff. I learned that from honestly COVID. 2020 was like when I learned all that stuff when I was working at the church. So yeah.
Any thoughts on that? Believe it or not, we started as two broke artists working multiple jobs, touring the country with our band, trying to get signed. All the labels, they said no. COVID shut everything down. Nothing was working. Our bandmates quit. It seemed like it was all over. So we learned music marketing. We built our own momentum. Today, we've crossed over 500 million streams on all of our music. And we built the Anthem Network to give indie artists, producers, and music industry players the roadmap we wish we had 10 years ago. So if you're done doing this alone, join the Anthem Network. Get your 7-day free trial by clicking the link in the description below. We'll see you there.
I have a question, like, or just, I don't know. I would love to hear your thoughts on this, but like at what point, so say you're an artist, like maybe like mid-career or a little earlier in your career, and, I'll use myself as an example. So I really wanted to not have to pay someone to do videos for me. So like I made the decision, and I don't know whether it was like a good one or a bad one. I'd love to hear your thoughts on like buying some equipment and gear and a good camera. And it was like a significant investment. It costs a girly like the cost of maybe an album. Just
Canadian or US?
Definitely US. The most important dollar, the big bad dollar. Not gravy money.
Not great.
And like I guess it kind of set me back maybe in music. If you consider the consistency of putting music out, it set me back a little because my budget for music went to a camera and a bunch of lenses. And like hindsight, would it have been better for me to just, or any artist to just like kind of ride the wave of hiring things out versus like just for the sake of putting music out there and consistency? Or like at what point do you think it's good for an artist to like invest in some gear and try to do this thing on their own? Like I'm thinking even for studio equipment and stuff. Like I have my own answer, but I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on that.
I don't think there's a right answer.
Well, there's maybe no answer, but just your opinion. Like
I can give my opinion. I have an opinion.
When
on
did you buy this gear? Was this before you blew up on Instagram or after?
this was after, but I had already acquired some gear that I had purchased that I was too scared to use. So I was like still using my iPhone.
Are you
That's-
willing to share what you spent on the gear? Like,
Well, okay, so it's not like a super super high end setup, but I spent about $4,500.
cool.
Five-
No, that's a chunk
almost
of
five.
change. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's a chunk. Especially for an artist that hasn't broken through majorly on the streaming yet.
Right, like there is no return on investment on any of my music. Let's just put it
Yeah.
out there.
Until dun dun dun.
The reason why I asked if you did it before, I was like, did it land you a 17 song project with us
No.
based on the
Not at all.
quality? This was after.
So I'm using camera as an example, but I mean, you could say the same for studio gear. Like if you're just like, I really want to learn
Yeah.
production, well, you do need a microphone and you do need like a laptop and you do. So whether you're starting out with like pretty like low level gear versus like spending more on big expensive gear, it's more like at what point do you decide like I'm going to invest my budgeted allowance on music? I'm going to spend it on basically an investment on myself for
Mhm.
upping
Yeah.
the quality or learning to do things myself versus just consistently putting out music. Because if a person is being honest, your budget for music usually goes to music or you spend it on a music related expenditure. I don't know if that's translating for anybody. Does this make sense?
No, it absolutely does. I think you do it once you realize that it makes sense for you.
Mm-hmm.
And again, where it's a little bit different with everybody, not everybody has that entrepreneur spirit in them. You know what I mean? Like for some people, they would much rather have things done for them. More cookie cutter, like I don't know if cookie cutter is the analogy there, but let me ask you this. Like, okay, so $4,500 to buy that gear. At that time, what did it cost you to produce a song?
Oh gosh. Well, everything was in US dollars. So production, mix and master and everything was probably 25 to 3 Canadian.
Yeah. So basically 75% of that was already just going to go into one song.
Right.
So in the grand scheme of things, that seems like a great move. I kind of view everything like this. And this is just me. You can give your take. You guys all might have your own takes, but I first would prefer to get my toes wet in the water, paying other people, getting to watch them do the thing, help me do the thing. And then once that entrepreneur thing in my head clicks of like, okay, wait a second, like I need to move faster. And if I have this skill, you can pay to acquire it or pay to upgrade the equipment, or like, oh, the only difference between me and that producer is that they have all the really nice equipment. Oh, maybe it's time for me to buy the really nice equipment and delay the gratification of being able to release all my songs very frequently and first skill stack for a season.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it all comes down to number one, what type of artist do you want to be? Do you want to be the DIY artist, the entrepreneur artist? Or are you wanting to be the artist that is looking to have a team right out of the gate and delegate all of that stuff off?
Yeah.
You, Elena, you're very DIY.
Yeah, but I wasn't always DIY. I was paying people hand over fist because I knew nothing and people were taking advantage of the fact that I knew nothing. So when you're paying so much out of pocket per song, then to me it made sense. Obviously production was something that I had wanted to do forever anyways, and I had already dabbled in it. So it made sense for me to buy, some gear and start learning. But for a while there was definitely an overlap where I was like, I'm not good enough to like release a song that I've done on my own. And I still have just spent a bunch of money on gear. And I'm talking about now like studio production gear, not really a camera, but you know, I've done that and I'm still paying the big guy to to do all the things. And I don't know, you guys. This is just like kind of a ramble. Love just talking about skill stacking and kind of investing in yourself. When a person does get to that like $2,500 a month, it's kind of like, well, what's next? And that was just my thought process. Like I've had a lot of conversations with people who are just like, well, if you're not making a return on investment on your money, like just from, you know, publishing or whatever, then why would you spend that money on gear? Or why would you spend that money on a camera? And I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. Because I wanna. But I
Yeah.
think the
Mhm.
logic is I just want to have control over my stuff and I don't want to have to pay the big guys so much money for something that I could learn how to do on my own.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, yeah,
It's
I
a
don't know.
freedom thing.
I think the hardest thing for creatives, and even talking about myself, is like seeing all the rabbit trails that you can go down and saying no at a certain point, and like determining how far you want to go down that rabbit trail. So, for example, could I learn how to, produce a song? Yes, I believe I have the capacity to produce songs and become a producer.
We
But-
did for a little while too in the beginning.
And we did in the beginning. We did what we had to do to get songs out because we couldn't afford to pay anybody. And I saw the people that were doing it that were legitimate, like people who cared about producing, and it is a money trail to go down that way. But in order for me to like justify to go down that rabbit trail, I had to like commit to being like a producer long term. And
Money
like
trail spending or making?
spending. It is a
Okay.
money trail of plugins and gear, and like it's endless. Like you could be spending thousands of dollars just to raise your quality by like 5%, at the end of the day. And if that is a rabbit trail that you choose to run down, then go for it. As a creative, one of the most painful things, and this is for the sake of output, I would rather have the team as a whole succeed and have more output. For example, for Anthem Worship. Could I fight really hard to play guitar on every single song? Yeah. Could I keep up with it? No. And so the hardest thing is saying no to that thing where it's like, I'm in this next season now, even though I love playing the instrument, but I would rather sacrifice that for more output for the team. And that means we can have multiple songs be, in production at the same time. And so at some point within the last couple of years, I had to say no to pursuing being a guitar player and say yes to pursuing the music business side and like this whole education thing and grow into something bigger than what I thought I would ever be. But the problem is if I just dove straight into the guitar playing world, I could be doing that. Could I do it and do it well? Yeah. Like I like to put 110% effort into what I do. But that's a whole nother money trail. Like I could be buying more guitars and more gear. And that's like one of the hardest things as a guitar player. I don't know if Trace would resonate with this. You're only as good as your next guitar that you buy. Like it's an endless there it is. So I don't know if this gives you any context, but I think the hardest thing is saying no to things and really focusing on the one thing. And that's kind of our motto right now as the Anthem Co. We've said no to a lot of things already this year. No, like we canceled a lot of things that we had planned for this year because the one thing for us this year is growing this network and trying to pack as much value into the courses and make this as good as it can possibly be.
Caveat, while still maintaining our growth with Anthem Records, with Anthem Worship and Mass Anthem, and still handling marketing for
That is
artists.
quite
wanna work with
literally-
us. Those are the three things.
That is quite literally the only three things that we kept is releasing music and everything is open on the marketing stuff. But as far as pursuit of new things, we basically, this is the most locked in that we've ever been this year.
Yeah.
It's like if you could do one thing this year, that if that one thing were true, it would change everything. Before you head out, if that session gave you just one good idea, imagine what'll happen when you're actually in the room with us every week. That's what the Anthem Network is all about. Artists connecting, getting real-time feedback, and taking action together. You can join right now with a 7-day free trial and be part of the next live call for free. Don't just watch other artists grow with them. Click the link in the description and we'll see you on the next call.